Hi, everybody. It's Coach Mary Beth, and I am here with the lovely, beautiful Lauren, who is going to talk to us about her Trim Healthy Mama journey, and also, more importantly, her Seedlings journey and what she has gone through this last year. I think your journey has been awesome and awe-inspiring to watch, and really, really, really fun to walk alongside you. So I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Lauren Martin and I'm 43. I have PCOS, and so I'm insulin resistant. I've actually dabbled with THM since probably 2014. That's probably about right. It was pretty early on. I had an acquaintance who, brought the big book to a homeschool PE class because I'm a homeschool mom, and I've got two kids. My oldest is 17 now, but he was 5 then, so 12 years ago.
Yeah.
There we go. I just worked that out for us. And she brings the big book, and to be very honest, like I just have skimmed the big book because for me, the big book was a lot. Was a lot. But it was enough for me to kind of grasp the idea. And I could talk to my acquaintance who did fabulous. Like when she read the big Bible, and
all
she
700 and whatever pages.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this looks great. Well, anyway, PCOS, I have done all sorts of, let's name, it's probably actually easier if I didn't say what I've done versus what I've done. But for, the sake of calling it, I've done the Weight Watchers thing. I've done paleo. I have done some keto. My dad was diagnosed many moons ago, type 2 diabetic. So I knew low carb lifestyle. Anyway, I knew probably around 18 is when I kind of knew things with me were not right. But it wasn't until after I had my son, and in between my son and my daughter, that I figured out that it was the PCOS, where I was having all kinds of crazy issues. Of course, you can't lose the weight, all the things. Well, fast forward to where I started dabbling in the THM, and I was probably, I was eating S&E and all the things, and I would see a little bit of change, but not anything significant.
Sure.
So, but I didn't want to throw it away. I didn't want to push it to the side because I was like, this makes sense to me as far as I'm not denying anyone in my household anything at this point.
Right.
It's very healthy. It is low glycemic. So I knew that was very good for me. Well, fast forward to the summer of 2022, and my husband, who was just, maybe he was right at 40 at that time, was diagnosed type 2 diabetic. Okay. And we're talking, it was bad. Like his glucose when he went in that day was like over 300. And that was
my goodness,
super scary to me because, like I said, I knew with my dad, I was like, oh my. And we had no idea, like none. And I shouldn't say that. Like looking back now, sure, there were plenty of signs, right?
Sure.
But like,
well, you didn't know.
You don't know, right? So I was like, okay. Well, I don't even remember like my starting with you guys, but just so that everybody knows, I do not use the scale. Like many moons ago, that had to go because that just messes with my mind.
Sure.
So I took my weight from Coach Mary Beth, like she wanted me to. But I'm getting ahead of myself, but I don't deal with that. So I really don't even know where I started. But anyway, back in January of 2023, Well, it probably would have been late December. I was miserable with myself. I knew I had issues because, hello, inflammation, all the things.
Right.
And I knew that I needed to help my husband and myself and my kids, because now they're definitely more predisposed to all the
Right.
things.
Yeah. It's on both sides.
Right.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. So it's like, okay, I've got to do something. Well, I had already been in the THM groups, and I don't even know how I knew about Coach Mary Beth's group, but somehow I knew about Coach Mary Beth's group. So then I saw you starting to post about Seedlings, and I was like, okay, I've done this Trim Healthy Mama thing, and something kept telling me, when we know it's the Lord who's telling you,
right,
this is how we need to try to pursue this thing. There has to be a way for this to work, to make the switch flip. You just don't know the tweaks that you need. Well, my biggest drive was my husband, because I was like, I've got to help him. Like, he is too young to see this just crash and burn. Right. So I was like, okay, number one, I never hired a coach because I'm too cheap. That is my number one thing. I'm just way too cheap. And I was like, okay, this is stupid. You can afford to do this, and you should afford to do this. That's the big
it's a worthy investment.
Worthy investment
for the future. Yeah.
Correct. We can go out and we can spend whatever it is. I'm not a Starbucks girl, but some people will. And that's just because I treated my daughter yesterday. It was over $6. So I'm like, right. And so if we can do that, then I can invest in myself and in my family. And that's really what it was. It was for my family. Yes, it was for me, because like I said, I was miserable, but I wanted the tweaks or wanted to learn what I was missing. That's what I should say. And then I figured out, once I got into Seedlings, you're doing this right. You just need tweaks.
The tweaks. That's right.
The tweaks. And so that's where I landed. So that was a lot to get us to Seedlings, but that's how I got to Seedlings, was there.
Well, and that's our first question. What motivated you to get there? You wanted the health of your family. And I think that's such an awesome way to think of it, as an investment in future you. The future Martin family is affected by what you chose to do a year ago, basically. Like, we're right here at the end of 2023. It's now almost been a year since all this was happening. And so it's I think it's kind of fortuitous that we are talking about this right now. It's a good time to reflect.
Yes.
So what were some of your goals in signing up? You wanted to get healthy. What was a specific goal of yours?
A specific goal of mine? Oh, really and truthfully, was to really learn the program more than just looking at my cookbooks, because I have all of them.
Right.
I wanted to know I knew it had to work. So that really was my driving force, was it's time to get serious, to learn this very healthy program. So that was my driving force.
Yeah. And I think you have done that exceptionally well. Really, really, y'all. Like, she has been amazing. Okay, so you're all the way through Seedlings. You joined my membership after Seedlings, which is called the Orchard, because we talk in Seedlings about how you are a little new baby plant, and we water you and fertilize you and help you to grow. And then at the end of Seedlings, you had the opportunity to join the Orchard, where we uprooted you from your Seedlings little pot and put you out into the orchard, where you could bloom and grow all kinds of lovely peach trees. We'll pick peach since you're since you're a Georgia girl.
Love it. Yes.
So what would you say, I guess, were the most meaningful parts of Seedlings for you? And how would you say that those things have impacted your health and really your diabetes management? I think that is one of the most awesome things about your journey, is how just over the course of this last 12 months almost, we have seen your blood sugars just like, they are beautiful. They started higher, and man, are they down. They're like down, and they are even. So kind of walk me through, what were the useful parts for you, and how has that affected your blood sugar management?
Okay. So the tweaks that I keep yakking about, there really is some gold, some beautiful gold in how those of us with insulin problems have to approach food in general, but specifically the program. That has made a significant impact, not just for me, but my husband. Now, I'm not there to baby him all the time.
Sure. We should just let everybody know that y'all are a house divided. He lives in Florida some of the time and in Georgia some of the time, and you guys just travel back and forth.
Yes, we are literally there most every other week. And sometimes we are together, and like today we're not. So when we are together, I try to like shove whatever I'm making his way. But all that to say, like, how you know, this is going to come out the wrong way, but like willy-nilly, I would say, when we're looking at S and E, and say, you know, used to, sure, I would have had an oatmeal for breakfast. Well, that's a big fat no-no now. And I know that now. The other thing is, which everybody hears this all the time, but like, I'm not a breakfast person by nature at all. I don't love it. But that first thing in the morning, that within the 30 minutes, and finding your thing that can get you there, that has made a huge impact on everything. Number one. Number two, the protein. I wish everybody knew how lacking everybody really is in protein. And honestly, I think that I could probably use more every day. I probably was not eating enough beforehand. Now it's my hunger cues before, I had really wrecked my metabolism with all the things. So I didn't have typical stomach hunger cues. Every now and then I will now, but my hunger cues were my brain would shut down. I couldn't think. And so even now, you know, we can tell, and I say we, my husband can tell too. Because he's like, you need to go eat. When I cannot come up with words that I need to use or think clearly, or if I'm just hangry. But those things really, really impacted everything. Like, and then the pulled back ease, like, I didn't want to give up carbs, but for years I thought that I had to because of the insulin resistance. And that's what they're all told. And then it's like, no. And now those are some of my favorites because I eat them at the end of my meal. And they're like my little dessert, like grapes right now. And I know those are not grand, but like, they are just,
it works for you.
It does. And they are so delicious. And I'm like, I'm just in heaven,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just nice. But learning that I needed carbs and I needed them, and I can see it. I tell Coach Mary Beth, like, we can tell on a travel day if I haven't been able to have my steps or my whatever I'm doing that day and my pullback ease, it shows.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. And so I think everybody, whether you have insulin problems or not, they should absolutely start checking their glucose, because they would quickly learn how that affects every person on the planet.
Yes, absolutely. I just said that to a group of coaches today.
Funny.
Yep. Yep. It would be very surprising to people if they just bought even a little cheap glucometer from Walmart. It does not have to be expensive, but check your blood sugar for however many sticks come in the little vial that you buy with your machine, and you will be shocked to bits. It is very surprising what you're actually doing to your actual body with the things that you put in your mouth.
Yes, agreed. So those are huge takeaways and I did like in the course too, how every week you broke everything down and how we approached it. One of my catchphrases from all these years of homeschooling is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Not the whole elephant, just one bite at a time. Well, that really applied to seedlings, because we broke every component down every week. And then if you didn't get it, it was okay.
Yeah.
You just go back to what you need to solidify. And there's still times that I will go back, remind myself of what I need.
That's right.
And it just is what it is, but it's there and it's good.
Yeah. No, I really did seek to, when I was writing the program, to put it together in a way that would have been so helpful for me as a type 1 coming into this weird, like, what in the world is fuel separation? I've never heard of this before. The concept, I'm like you, I read the big book while I was on bed rest. I was on bed rest for 10 weeks and I could not get up and do any of the things in the book, but I was like, I can totally see as a type 1 that this just makes sense. Like, this is perfect, really. So I had a long time to kind of ingest it and mull it around without being able to put it into practice. But about a year and a half after that, when I became a coach, I was like, I'm going to just write this in a way that would have been something that would have been useful to me. And I think that's really why it is a helpful program, because it's written from the perspective of somebody who has walked through it and who has had to figure out the tweaks for diabetes and for insulin resistance, because it's just different. As much as people don't want to say that it is, it is different. It is. And the application is different. The foundational things are the same, but the application is totally different. And so I am really proud of it. It is one of my proudest things of my life that I have written this, because it's just, I told somebody today that I feel like what Satan intended to harm me and having this pretty serious disease all my whole life, that I have been able to take that and to like blow the doors open on the diabetic prisons that people live in, where it's just food on the brain all the time. And I don't have food on the brain all the time because I'm not worried about my blood sugar. So I just know it's kind of a thing that runs in the background, as it should. And why would people not want to know about that? Like, I think it's a big deal.
Well, the other thing I would say, because I can be a very type A personality. I loved how it wasn't overwhelming.
Yep.
It was written pretty much in a bullet point form. So it was easy for you to say, okay, and I'm one of those girls, like, I've got a lot of words, but I don't necessarily want to have to use all those words.
Sure.
So I really appreciated that.
Yeah. 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 I think I just thought people are busy and I need it to be the simplest form that it can be, that conveys the information how it's going to be easy to take away. So,
And it was great.
I'm glad that you found that
Yes.
that was useful, because that's what I needed it to be.
Yes.
Okay. What would you say has been your experience of working? So we've worked together now for almost a year. What's your overall experience of working with me? You said you've never worked with a coach before, so I guess there's nobody to compare me to, but
Nope.
Yeah, just what has coaching been like for you, and what would you say stands out, I guess, about just my approach to coaching? And
So I appreciated the fact that, all right, you allow us to journal however we so choose to journal. I had no clue about like the 8 app or any of that. But for me, back to that, it's busy. I didn't want to have to sit and write. And I feel like sometimes for my personality, if I sat and I wrote everything out like that, I'd start obsessing over things like that.
Yeah.
So for me to know that it was okay to use, which I still use the 8 app, I probably will always use that app. For me just to snap a picture of my food and to be able to say, okay, here is what I had. And I appreciated that you would say, now, like I said, I already had a decent understanding of the fuels. So there weren't very many times that you had to ask me, okay, where's your carbs or where's your this? There were a few times, but not many. So that's probably not the best example, but I did appreciate that you would say that, because I could see where that would help people who are trying to really learn that.
Yeah.
That would help them to grasp that
and to be asking the questions. Where's my protein? Where's my veggies? Where's my carb?
Yes, absolutely. So I really like that. And like I said, I really like that you were like, y'all can use this app. Great. Simple. That's simple.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't feel like, I don't know. I mean, it was just a good overall experience. I think if it wouldn't have been, I wouldn't still be, like, you're my accountability, and that's what I need. And so, who knows how long you will remain my accountability, but it's worth that to me.
Yeah.
Back to that whole our family's committed.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me too, is commitment. I committed myself to learn the program and to follow through with the program. So,
yeah. Well, and I think too, just thinking of how you, outside of Seedlings, once you came over into the orchard, like, you don't post every single day, but you are keeping track of your day. So kind of every 4 or 5 days, I'll get a series of posts from you. And I know that that is what works in your life. And so it is just as easy for me to look through your 4 or 5 posts as it is at one time, as it is to look every day. And so that is a rhythm that we have found that works well, and it works. And so we don't need to tweak that.
I will butt in here and say, that would not have worked well if I was not having to do that to you every day during Seedlings.
No, and you did that every day.
Every day. Yes. So I appreciated that too, because that made me, and not everybody, and you say that up front, not everybody will commit to that, but that was a commitment that I made to myself, to you, to my family. And so that I made sure during Seedlings that every day, but you're right. I still keep track of it. And every few days I chunk it to you, because I need you just to, My
You need the
brain,
eyeballs on it.
yes, I need the eyeballs on it. Yeah,
that's right. And it's good.
Yep.
That's good. So let's talk about just the shift that you and your husband have seen over this past year, because I don't know, when was that? Was it in the summer that you sent me those 3
It was in September.
side by side pictures? I mean,
Uh-huh.
that was awesome. So awesome. Just to go, here's where you were in January, here's where you were in July, and now
Yep.
here we are September, which is that, I mean, there's not hardly a difference between July and September
Yep.
in days, but girl, big changes in you.
Yep.
Huge, I mean, really bigger changes even than January to July. So
Agreed.
talk me through that.
Okay.
What are the differences that you are seeing?
Okay. So, I'm trying to really remember when I started Seedlings, I had already made a promise. So, older and wiser after you've done lots of things many times, right? I had already promised myself, okay, I'm going to do this. And also, I do want to throw this in. Progress was my chosen word for this year.
Yep.
Okay. And so I just kept telling myself, progress, big or small, it doesn't matter. Progress is progress in whatever in my life, this or otherwise. Okay.
Right.
So I had decided that I was going to focus on my food for a while and get myself acclimated to every 3 to 4 hours, ensuring I had my veggies, my protein, and carbs or fats, whatever it was. And then I would add in my exercise.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I did do some shorter workouts at the beginning, but I really, really, really wanted to focus and learn what I needed to learn about the program so that I didn't burn myself out.
Absolutely.
So after that, I just found some like 5,000 step videos on YouTube. At first it was just walking, but then there were some that were they're not like really hit. They were just different movements. And I really liked those. And those worked well for me because it was winter time. So, some days we would go out and we would hit the sidewalks in the neighborhoods around us. But and that I would make my husband go out with me on those. But it was nice. I could do the same thing in my living room. And I didn't have to leave the house. And I wasn't worried about if it was a travel week. I could keep up with that. So I think then, like, say, middle of February, because I had gotten in the habit of doing that before Seedlings ended. So whenever that was until May-ish, I think. Somewhere in there, I was ensuring 5 days a week that I was getting in at least one of those YouTubes at 5 days a week. But usually it was about 6. And then I started, so like Mary Beth said, we really are part-time between here and Florida. And in the summertime, we were definitely there. Most of the summer. So not only was I getting those walking workout videos, I was doing lots of beach walking. Well, then we decided
step count was like high.
And the weeks that we are there, they are high because that is my me time. I want to be there, my feet in the sand and just reflecting and praying. And that is absolutely what I do. But then we decided we have this great bike trail that's right behind our house. And so I was like, oh, I loved riding bikes as a kid. Let's go get bikes. And so Part of it was we wanted something that I could do with my daughter during the summer because my
Yeah.
son was working. And so
Mhm.
like I was trying to help occupy her time.
Sure.
So we went and bought bikes. Well, after I had my bike for like a week or two, my husband was like, I think I want a bike. And I'm like, well, let's go buy you
Yeah.
a bike. So I was doing the step videos, and then I was walking the beach, and then I was riding the bike at night.
Mhm.
And it wasn't anything strenuous. I mean, it's flat, but
Yeah.
it was still movement.
Yeah.
And it was
And
something
good steady movement.
yes, and something that I enjoyed and we all enjoyed. And so we looked like a gang of kids riding our bikes
Mhm.
through downtown. And so when we do that, and we still try to do that when we are down south, like
Mhm.
it's kind of falling off a little bit, and some of it just has to do with time change.
Sure. Yeah.
I think we do like 4.5 miles in
Mhm.
30 minutes.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
so it's great. Well, then the next thing that I am totally obsessed with, totally, is rebounding. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't mean rebounding and jumping up and down and acting crazy. I'm talking using that as a form of resistance.
Mhm.
And I could not believe it. At first, I was like, oh, might be kind of wonky, but it's good for my lymphatic system.
Mhm.
After 4 weeks of me rebounding, I got a notification from my Apple Watch
Mhm.
that my walking heart rate had dropped 20 points in
Wow.
4 weeks.
Wow. Wow. That is
Okay.
awesome.
So I'm like, that's the only change I had made.
Mhm.
So I knew it was that. But that's also toss in at some point in all of that too. And I'll kind of go back and forth with this. Well, I had listened to the potties,
Mhm.
and they talk about strength training.
Mhm.
So I had done, and I still do it, but not as much as I was. I think I was
Mhm.
kind of doing 5 days of
Okay.
lifting. Now it's
Mhm.
more like 3 days, and I do the
Mhm.
Caroline Gravon
Mhm.
iron.
Mhm.
It's free on YouTube.
Mhm.
You just need to buy some weights. Like,
Right.
so I think that just all of those things. Like, I
Yeah.
haven't taken any more pictures. I
Mhm.
plan to do that in 2 weeks
All right.
to see what else, because I know
Yes.
there have been changes
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Um,
So I can
but
see that in your face
yeah,
right now. Like there
it's
there have
crazy.
been some more changes.
So I'm not like, it probably sounds like I'm a little obsessed with it, but I'm really not. I just
She's
feel
not. She is not. I will second that. It's just consistency is what it
yes,
is. And you guys have awesomely, I think, found things that you love to do as a family.
yeah,
So that is a family relationship building activity. So
yes,
that like amen to the bike riding. I think that's fantastic.
yes,
But I mean, we talked about that in Seedlings, that week 3 movement of you need to build lean muscle mass in your body
yes,
to address your insulin resistance. And that
yes.
to me, that is what you have done with the rebounding and the
Oh,
um Caroline. I don't know how you say her
I
last
think it's
name.
Gravon.
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 Okay.
Um,
And those two things in combination with the aerobic kinds of things that you're doing with the bike riding and the walking, plus the grounding, gosh,
yeah,
like you're living the dream for real, Lauren. You're living the dream. But all of those things and your consistency in them have gotten you to where you are right now. And it's
mhm,
just been really so incredible to watch because the it's encouraging to me. I think is what I want to say. Like that I love consistency and I'm a pretty consistent person. But you get tired of being consistent every now and then. And
mhm.
it's just helpful to have people who are being consistent too. And so I'm encouraged by your consistency. So
Well, so one thing then I want to throw in here, just for whomever might be watching this. One thing I wish maybe I would have done years ago to keep me consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have taken pictures. I don't love
Yes.
to take pictures
No.
at all, but I don't even know what happened. Like, you made us take pictures to
Mm-hmm.
begin with. Smart, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, I guess it was July was the next time, and I had no clue. And so I was like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
whoa. And so like now I want to take
You're
pictures.
motivated to take them.
Yes, because like I told my husband this morning, I was like, you can kind of, he's just had a lot going on here lately.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can kind of see the stress. I mean, you can to start building here, and I was like, listen, you got to get moving again.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I need you to, you know how I am. I just get zoned in. And I was like, well, I don't want to nag you. And he's like, no, I'm not going to take it as a nagging. He's like, but I'm going to need you to come get me out so that we can. And I said, yeah, we need to take pictures of you because I don't want you throwing away what you have worked very hard for.
So hard
for 11 months.
That's
and so, that's and I think that sometimes that just comes with wisdom and age.
Yeah.
Things that we could have wish we would have told our 25-year-old selves.
Sure.
The other thing I think I've told you that might be worth mentioning for some that may be younger than me in this program. I didn't realize I was fortunate enough in my 30s, 20s to build muscle as quickly as I did. And of course, my generation, it was looked upon, you needed to be long and lean and skinny and a size 2.
Yes.
Yes. And that was never going to be me. And now I wish I would have fought harder for the muscle, because absolutely in the last 2 years, you can just, it's when people say they see it overnight, it's true. It's just like you wake up one day and you're like, where did that bat wing come from?
Right.
Like, what in the world?
Yeah.
So I would just say to anybody, work for your muscles, even if it's hard. You need your muscles.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Now I'm 43 too. And I just, that really resonates with me so much, because I got very into bar a couple of years ago. And since my little foster babies have come, I have paused on that. But I was looking at some pictures of myself, trying to clear up some Google space. And I was like, oh, I miss bar. I need to start bar again. Just, you have to find something that you love.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what it is. Let it be bar, let it be lifting heavy, let it be running, doing the elliptical machine. You find the thing that you love. Go bike riding, go hiking, and do that thing. Get the enjoyment out of it. It's not it takes it from being like, oh, I have to go work out, to I get to go work out. Like I get to go work out because you love it so much. So yeah, I'm asking for a rebounder for Christmas after your death. And I'm like,
shout from the I will. Like, I tell everybody, because I have friends at our little CC group that hadn't seen me for months. And I went Monday for their little last day stuff. And they were like, what are you doing? And I was like, let me just tell you.
Yeah.
You need to do Trim Healthy Mama, and you need to get a rebounder.
Yes.
They're like, what? And I'm like, yes.
Just trust me.
Just do. But
this does not lie.
Yes. But like now, the other thing, I mean, like, I will shout from the rooftops. If I don't do my rebounding, I start to get a headache. And so I'm like, and as soon as even if you're just health bouncing, which just means you're just moving your body up and down for 2 minutes, it just takes that away. The other thing while we're talking, things that are good for your brain, that clear your mind and make you feel better. I'm going to say it wrong. I always do. MCT oil.
Yes, that's right.
In my coffee every morning. If
Every
I
morning.
do not have that, I am in a fog. And I know that's what it is. So those are like my two huge things that I'm like, this is what you need.
Yeah. Get yourself some MCT and get
And
a
a
rebounder.
rebounder.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Last question. How do you think that the kind of the community aspect or we've talked a lot about the accountability aspect, but what has the community been like for you just through the year? And do you think, has that been an added value to you, I guess?
Well, I don't, our group, I didn't feel like was, you know, and I think just sometimes that's just life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it wasn't a negative thing.
Sure.
I feel like when people would ask questions, other people, and it wasn't necessarily always the coaches, there were some of us that would absolutely chime in, or howbeit. So I think that's a great thing. You can always, or you should always be open to learning things from other people.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and what I do like about this, as opposed to say the Facebook groups, there's so many people in that, and especially now since they've dwindled so many of them down. That to me is a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And a lot of rabbit holes that you sometimes go down. And so for me, if I can get information quicker from, the orchard or from Seedlings, oh, I'm coming there.
Yeah. Yes. It's very succinct. I will say that it is because it's just kind of, I don't want to say it's single-minded, but it is single-minded. Our whole approach is tackling insulin resistance. And so everything in there is through that lens.
Yes.
So I know you've come to me a couple of times with things that have been said in the potty, or that's the THM podcast for those who don't know that. From the things that have been said in the THM podcast, or just things that you have seen in the big THM groups. And you've come to me and been like, are we supposed to do that? Is that good for us? And I'll say, no, actually, we should not be doing that. Or, yeah, we can go ahead and do that. And so it is, everything comes through the lens of reducing insulin resistance and increasing insulin sensitivity. Those are our two aims in everything we do. So
yes, and so that's, to me, that's worth whatever. Because clearly, if you do the things work.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The things with the tweaks.
The things with
the tweaks
work.
Yeah. No, it is. I think since the groups are now so big, and that you're right, they have been consolidated down into fewer but much larger groups, and so it is a lot noisier, and it's just like, for me, I personally feel like this is like the quiet neck of the woods. Just come over here into the quiet, and it's not chaotic or combative. Like, there's just nice people. There's just nice people. I only let nice people in.
Yes. So I absolutely appreciate that. I really, really do. And I think other people would probably say the same thing.
Yeah. I hope so. That's what I try to go for.
Yeah. I think it's good.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing about just your journey and all the things that you have experienced and gone through. Like I say, it really has been inspirational to me. I know it is inspirational to others, just to watch the big changes that have been happening, and that you're just living proof that consistency over time gets you where you want to go. And I don't know, would you say that your initial goals have shifted, of like the things that you wanted to see happen as you've met those goals? Do you find that when you're kind of looking to the future that you're your goals are bigger now, or they've changed in
Yeah.
what you think you want to accomplish?
I honestly haven't like sat and chewed on that one, but sure. Like, you know, like I said early on, the scale that was never in my equation. But I
Which
will
I think
say,
is so healthy.
right. No.
I hate the scale.
And yes, just go away because I'm not allowing you to define me anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like I would love, it's really kind of pathetic, honestly. Like we were walking into the grocery store a couple of weeks ago and there was this lady and she probably in her late 60s, early 70s. But you could tell she has taken care of herself for many years, and she had beautiful calves, just beautiful, these calves and legs. And I just looked at her and I was like, that's what I want. I want those legs when I'm 70.
Love
and my husband was just like, oh my gosh, but I was just like, just the little things. And I know that can kind of seem vain, but no, it's just like that's so healthy. And she, she's taking care of herself. The other thing I didn't mention, other people, if you haven't played pickleball with your kids, go play pickleball with your kids. Like they love it. We love to beat our kids at pickleball. But it's so fun. And everybody gets out there and you're just moving. And I just think, this time last year, there would have been no way.
Yeah.
I didn't even address this, but I want to say this. The inflammation. Holy smoke.
Holy cow. Yeah.
And I just look at people now and I just go, I just want to give you what I've been given.
Right.
Because I don't feel like I'm 43. I don't. And that makes me excited. So when you say, have my goals changed? Absolutely. I just want to keep kind of this backwards spiral so that in 20 years, I can do with my grandkids what I'm doing with my kids now.
100%. I think that is such a good goal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, we will talk to you. Oh my gosh. Did I start recording this? Oh,
did you not?
I did. We're good. All right.
Yay.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.
Okay.